The delicious beef is succulent and flavorful, with a firm texture that is very chewy. The steak, rich in calcium, is crisp and delicious. Every bite is packed with calories. In this harsh, food-scarce land, it will gorge itself without restraint, replenishing its body with ample. Only with sufficient energy can they cope with extremely low temperatures. Who would have thought, just as it was happily feasting, its two cubs were still, suffering from hunger and cold in the wind and snow. A once warm and happy family of 3 was disrupted because the mother was searching for a solution for her child's illness. The food was killed alive by the yak and its 2 4-month-old cubs. The cub didn't seem to understand the meaning of death yet. In the first few days, the child was still playing on the mountaintop, but waited a long time for his mother to return. The hungry and cold little creatures began to grow fearful. In the frigid temperatures of -30°C, without the protection of a female snow leopard, the baby's body will quickly lose temperature. But the little ones follow their mother's instincts. The energy remains extremely strong. On the frigid plateau, such ignorant behavior is tantamount to throwing one's life away. Camera pans hunger. This triggered the young ibex's hunting instincts. However, to avoid predators, the ibex, they might even climb cliffs nearly 100 meters high. The little ones imitated their mothers. The scouts pursue their prey on a near-vertical cliff. Without her mother's protection, her once peaceful life instantly became fragile, weak and desperate. The helpless howls attracted the attention of nearby gray wolves, which seemed to, this is bad news. In their current state, in the wild, the survival rate is almost 0 unless a miracle occurs. Born. Camera pans. The cub's screams were caught by an older male snow leopard. The snow leopard is the cub's father, although he has never met the cubs, but their calls are very distinctive. The departure of female Luna forced the male snow leopard to bear the consequences, taking on the heavy responsibility of caring for the baby. Perhaps coincidentally, the male snow, the leopard dragged the captured ibex directly up the mountain to eat it. To avoid startling the cubs, it left the food without looking back. They leave. However, snow leopards are solitary animals and males rarely leave, participating in the task of raising cubs. It's hard to imagine it was out of a desire to care for children. It's a coincidence. Perhaps explaining it as a coincidence would be more plausible, but the scent of the barrel's blood attracted the attention of other snow leopards. To protect food, the snow leopard father resolutely launched a counterattack. This behavior of males caring for their cubs is even observed by those who frequently photograph snow leopards. The photographers were completely baffled. The Himalayas, at an altitude of 5,000 meters, have unpredictable and volatile weather. A relentless blizzard struck, and temperatures plummeted. The cubs lay exhausted and shivering on the cliff edge. Driven by their instincts, in my mind, any animal other than my mother is a dangerous presence. But the aroma of food is an irresistible temptation for them. Confused. In the following days, the male snow leopard dragged its prey down to the foot of the mountain. They enjoy the food, but never approach the cubs on their own initiative. A month passed, and the little ones had miraculously survived. It's hard to believe, like how they survived this period. Suddenly appearing out of nowhere, with 2 mouths to feed, the hunting pressure on male snow leopards becomes exponential growth. Food is extremely scarce in winter, so the Argali sheep, their bellies were forced to migrate constantly. They lost their means of survival. Male snow leopards are forced to turn their attention to the lives of herders. District. To help yaks survive the harsh winter, herders will feed them heavy loads of green grass. The materials were carried up to a peak 5,000 meters high. In this secluded valley, free-range yaks are the main source of income for herders. Male snow yaks, The leopard was unaware of the risks of approaching humans. It only knew that two leopards were howling. The chicks are still waiting for it to return from its hunt. Come. The Tibetan Mastiffs of the Tibetan people are different from those of other regions. They are Himalayan Mastiffs. The Yasha semi-wild fierce dog, with its bloodline carrying a strong wildness, is enormous. Their large size and extremely strong attack power make them ideal for herders to defend against snow leopards, a weapon for large carnivores such as wolves. Although named the snow leopard, it's a close relative of the tiger, and its murderous gaze shows no fear of the Tibetan Mastiff. Siege, no. This incessant barking forced the male snow leopard to abandon its pursuit. After failing, they reluctantly climbed the cliff to search for anything edible. An object, a herd of yaks at the foot of the mountain, caught its attention. The herdsmen wouldn't. They follow the yaks like sheep, and they will send several Tibetan Mastiffs to accompany them the whole way. However, no Tibetan Mastiffs were found among the yaks. Snow leopards, the fur can blend in even with hay. It's difficult to tell unless you look closely. It is very difficult to find any trace of it. The cow saw her calf being attacked by a snow leopard and rushed after it to rescue it. However, its attempts to drive away the starving snow leopard proved futile and ineffective. The male snow leopard's persistence paid off. It was determined to bring the food back as quickly as possible. Go share with the cubs. Drag and drop. The process is extremely physically demanding, but for the sake of the child, all the sacrifices are worthwhile. It's all worth it. The herders discovered the snow leopard attack, but they didn't blame the Tibetan Mastiffs for protecting it. Inadequate. To protect snow leopards, relevant departments will follow the market regulations for yaks. The market price will be used to compensate herders, which will also help increase the survival rate of snow leopards. Key policies for survival rate. Having tasted the benefits of yaks, the male snow leopard continued to track the herd. However, not every attack can result in a complete escape. During a hunt, a male snow leopard was unfortunately seriously injured by a bull's horn. Faced with the combined attack of Tibetan Mastiffs and humans, the male snow leopard roared angrily. It was exhausted, both physically and mentally, and its whole body was covered with wounds from the fight. Despite receiving some compensation for their losses, the herders were relieved once they found their yaks. The corpses would be brought back directly to serve as food for the winter. The snow leopard only relaxed after the herders left. Its body was then enveloped by the yak. The cow was severely trampled, suffering serious injuries. If nothing unexpected happens, it will most likely die as a result. Death. The photographer wanted to help, but as a professional documentary team, they absolutely cannot be interfered with artificially. This is not a sign of indifference, but rather a response to self-imposed limitations. Naturally, there was awe and respect. However, after descending the mountain, the photography team, we contacted the relevant local authorities. Snow leopards are endangered. This species was so dangerous that humans had to take rescue measures. Here it found a warm bed provides one of the few opportunities humans have to observe snow leopards up close. Here, the snow leopard ate free food, and its body underwent simple treatment. Disinfection treatment was carried out. However, due to severe injuries and old age, the male snow leopard no longer required further treatment. Looking at the dying snow leopard, the film crew eventually managed to get through to a wildlife conservation organization. Should snow leopards be allowed to enjoy their twilight years in comfortable cages, or left to roam freely in the wild? Struggling to survive, the final decision was still to release the snow leopard, return to the snow-capped mountains. Even though returning them would only result in another corpse, rather than letting them languish in cages, it's better to respect nature and release them back into the wild. Wilderness. Even in death, let its soul return to the snow-capped mountains, to die in the plateau it guarded its entire life. For months later, the two snow leopard cubs showed obvious changes in their physical condition. The little guy who used to tremble on the cliff is now quite agile. Their mobility, the male's coincident feeding location provided the two brothers with, they have a constant supply of food. Snow leopard cubs generally don't start eating until they are over 1 year old. They began to become independent. Nevertheless, their survival rate was still less than 100%. 20. The male snow leopard released back into the wild is still struggling. A chance encounter. Yes, the male snow leopard and his two cubs met at the foot of the mountain. The opportunity. However, driven by their instinct to protect their territory, she then launches an attack on the male. This is not a betrayal or abandonment. It was not out of a desperate need to survive. System. The male, seeing that his two cubs were safe and sound, seemed to finally breathe a sigh of relief. He could finally let it go. Before long, the two brothers would go their separate ways. Whether they can survive remains to be seen. A strong survival instinct drives male snow leopards to continue their hunting journey. Seeing the ibex right before its eyes, it showed none of its former agile posture. Sheep bleating. It lived a solitary and tragic life, ending with its final leap. With a single leap, he completed the final redemption of the king of the plateau. The two cubs might discover its carcass. This may be the last time a father searches for food for his children. All right. Background music.